you so much. What's your
Turning on the lights mess up your camera?
No, it'll auto adjust. Are you streaming it?
Picture So, hi, I'm Tracy Young-Hillier. I'm the CPO president this year. Welcome to the 2008. So I just kind of wanted to tell you just a little bit what the CPO does in general for any of the new parents that are here that might not know. So most of what we're responsible for is providing treats and special events for the students and also the faculty and staff. So it ranges from goodie bags on special holidays and stuff like that to cookie exchange in the holiday season for the faculty and staff to meals like homecoming dinner before the homecoming dance and bigger events like winter formal and prom to just kind of the community events which we do in the spring, which is the blood drive and the walk-a-thon that helps support the community around. A little bit of just kind of format stuff, so we have these meetings once every 4 to 5 weeks or so. Generally, there'll be a campus update given by Ben or one of the assistant headmasters if he's not available. We'll have a panel of faculty and students that will come and talk about some program or something that's going on at Kate. Today it happens to be the outdoor program. And then there'll be various updates from our committee chairs of kind of what we've got going on in the upcoming month or two, where we need help, where we need volunteers, how you can jump in. And also feel free to email myself or any of the committee chairs if you're either local or you're far away, and we'll give you ways that you can help us out. So with that, I'm going to give it to Ben to give the campus update.
Update the campus. We are updating the campus. Yeah, you can see that going on over there. Yeah, welcome. It's always, we said actually that there's a very long ramp up to start the school year for faculty. We're back for a long time in a series of meetings and things like that. And so it is wonderful to be done with all of that and actually be in class and doing what we're here to do. And I actually spent part of the day in a Spanish 1 class, their second class. I had to participate. It was mediocre, but I was in there. And there's just great energy. It's just a wonderful way to, it's great to get the year started. And this segment we have, this kind of sprint to outing week, is a good way to see a lot of energy, to get kids interacting with a lot of different folks. It's obviously a time when some kids are dealing with transition challenges and homesickness and all of that kind of thing, but that's a natural part of this process. And outing week is a nice way of saying, look, get through to that point, and then by that point you're going to know a lot of people, and the experience will connect them in ways that we want them to feel connected to the school. It was a busy summer. As you can see, we have our Dining Commons project underway, and that's about a 14-month process, so safely we will be in November of next year. We're shooting for October. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with everything. Eventually we will open the upper pathway that will go from right near Fleischman Gym down to Sprague Gym, so that the campus will feel a little bigger when we do that. We did notice when we cordon off Kirby Quad, there's an impact. There's less open space. The kids are wondering, okay, wait a minute, where do we go and just hang out on green grass, which is admittedly hard to find in the midst of the drought. So we're working on that kind of thing, and we're just going to have to manage that as best we can. It'll be cool when the building starts to rise, and sort of exciting. Foundation work beginning shortly, and so we will start to see it go above ground. The subsequent process to reimagine McBean Library right in here and Raymond Commons begins immediately. And our hope is that when we finish this project, we can move right into the Raymond Common reimagination. But at this point, we're just waiting for that one to be done, and off we go. We also, interestingly enough, and this is probably not going to have impact on any of you, but the board was very active this summer because we have significant challenges here around housing. We've been building faculty housing, and we have plans to build more faculty housing, but even with all the residences we have on campus, we have about a half a dozen faculty that we house off campus, simply because we don't have the space for them. And our focus on campus is really more on facilities that are student focused rather than faculty focused. And so this summer, we, with the help of lots of great trustees and Sandy and Hallie, have now entered into an agreement to purchase a 4-apartment complex in Carpinteria, which we're very excited about, where our faculty will be able to live and have an easy commute onto the Mesa. As you can probably imagine, for a lot of our faculty, it's really critical that they be here and that they interact with our students, because that's consistent with their work. And we house a lot of our staff who are not teaching faculty, and so this gives us additional flexibility to have housing for people who can't otherwise. It's a hard place, hard to afford to live in this area, and so we're really excited about that. This is not necessarily the beginning of an active real estate acquisition process, but when a property like that comes up in Carpinteria, we've been watching that one for actually a couple of years. We want to move fairly quickly on that. We're thinking a lot about these kinds of issues because with the campaign that we have initiated and are in the quiet phase of, the board is actively thinking about our strategic priorities as we move forward, and what particular objectives do we want to satisfy for the school. Despite the construction that you see, the campaign that we've initiated is principally an endowment campaign. It is really built to enable our financial sustainability and to restrain the growth of tuition and focus primarily on access. And we have a retreat coming up in 2 or 3 weeks now, where our board will gather to address those issues in particular. We'll have a lot of faculty there, some students, so it'll be an interesting opportunity to explore where we hope Kate will be going in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm in a couple of organizations who are in strategic planning processes right now, and it used to be that you'd write like a 10 or 20-year plan. For most institutions now, it's like a 1 or 2 year plan. Everything is changing so quickly. And so I think we're going to go a little longer than that. It should probably be a 4 or 5 year plan, but we'll give you more details on that when we get there. Otherwise, we're really enjoying a wonderful start to the year. We were worried about outing week. I'm trying to think how many years now we've had to worry about fires for some class during outing week. And Yosemite, you remember, was shut down for a while, but at this point, I won't want to jinx anything, but everything is at this point we seem to be okay and headed for our various destinations. We have an outstanding group of new faculty, which I hope you will get to know eventually and through your kids. They have been remarkable through the start of the school year. And that's about it. I'm happy to answer questions if you have them. Otherwise, I'll sit down and let the real important people talk. Great.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Tracy.
You heard that? You ready?
Yeah, sure. So we've been asked to, come on,
Here, let me grab one more too.
no, that's fine, I can stand. I won't have them. Welcome, good to see you, and I guess I'm speaking to a larger audience potentially as well. I don't know how many new parents are in the room or returners. It's good to see all of you guys, but I would like to have the students actually offer some perspective about kind of their, all these guys have been involved in the outdoor program in kind of different facets. Maybe just from an overarching start, Outings Week is about to kick in, and the goals that we articulate for Outing Week are actually pretty good microcosm, I think, of what the program hopes to do overall. Outing Week is meant to serve as a way to connect students with one another, students with faculty, and to expose kids to the outdoors and to our natural surroundings. As we become increasingly urbanized and as a culture and society, more and more of us become separated from our natural world, I think that has some pretty profound implications, and we're kind of trying to do our best to educate our kids about our connections to the natural world, not just as a source of kind of personal enjoyment and satisfaction, but also kind of as a global cultural responsibility. And the programs are set up basically kind of 3 facets, and the kids will speak to all of them. One is, which the part that everybody's involved in, which is Outings Week, which is coming up. So everybody gets to do that one, whether they want to or not. And hopefully, as they progress through, it's something that they increasingly look forward to. We offer the outing options or outdoor options in the athletic period for 2 of the 3 seasons, fall and winter. The fall season is kind of a survey course, if you will, where they get exposed to a number of different sports. Winter is where they can focus on rock climbing or surfing. And then there's the ones that we really want parents to know and understand, because sometimes you're playing a competitive sport that conflicts with the sports period. Outing weeks in September, that's it. We want kids to know that we're offering opportunities to get outdoors virtually every weekend, and every kid has an opportunity to take advantage of those. And they range from something as simple as an hour or 2 paddle before classes on Saturday morning to a multi-overnight experience away from campus. So that's kind of the overarching structure. I'll let the kids speak to them, and then my cohort, Pete Bonning, can wrap it up with a bow. So, all right, so maybe outing week start, because that one's coming up.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Spencer. I'm a returning junior. I've been here for all 3 years.
Yeah, so I am also, I was a new sophomore last year, and this year I'm a junior.
Yeah, and outings week, when I first came to K, I was dreading it. I was terrified of piles, and then I heard about Yosemite and Kern, and I got even more scared. And then I went out on piles and loved it. And I was a bit apprehensive about Yosemite, but I fell in love with that as well. Dana was actually in my pod
Yeah.
with Robin. And that was a really fun week. And it's just, ever since coming to K, it just completely changed my perspective on the outdoors. I grew up a complete city kid, and now I love the outdoors. I love camping, and I'm really looking forward to Kern. It's been like the highlight of coming back to K. So,
Yeah. Similar to Spencer, I grew up in Shanghai, so coming to K and going on the Yosemite trip was basically like my introduction to the outdoors, and I really loved it. I didn't know what to expect, and it ended up being definitely a highlight of my year last year. And this year I actually just decided to join Fall Outdoors, and that's actually going really well. So, and I never knew this about myself, but through the outings week and through the outdoors program, I really noticed that I have a really great passion for the outdoors. Yeah.
And I think a really big part of the outings week program that it's very, very big at Piles, but also at the other trips is kind of the chance to get to know your fellow classmates and teachers as well. So in Yosemite, Dana and I, our pod leaders were Bonnie and Miss Kaufman. And for those of you that know her, she was a new English teacher last year, and she was my English teacher last year. So getting the chance to get to know her in Yosemite before having her in class almost every single day for the next several months was just a really awesome experience.
Yeah.
And I got to know and socialize with people I don't usually talk to, which was definitely an interesting time. But I've made some very close friends on outings trips.
Yeah, definitely adding on to that. Like I said, I was a new sophomore, and so getting to having a week of school and then going on the outdoor trip with just a small pod was definitely different. Getting to know the people at my pod on campus and then out in the wilderness, and I thought that was just so nice to see that other side of everyone and actually bond on a deeper level instead of just on campus. Yeah.
So want to speak to the sports program piece?
Fall outdoors?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Tessa. I'm a senior. I missed outdoors last year for an injury, but I've done it all the years I could, and it's just a really great way to get off campus. And you get to go to the beach every day, who wouldn't want to do that? So, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the way that Fall Outdoors works is that it's broken up into 5 sort of sections. So it's surf kayaking, surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, rock climbing, and mountain biking. And your sort of fields of experience in these different activities can be absolutely nothing. I had very little outdoors experience. I'm from Connecticut, so it's a very different outdoors culture there than in California. So I came into it not having a lot of experience with any of these things. And now as a senior, 3 years later, I started doing outdoors my sophomore year. I can say I have some level of mastery in 4 out of the 5. I've had some
Anything but a bike.
anything but a bike routine. Yeah, I had an injury last year with a mountain bike. I recovered from very quickly. But yeah, it's a great experience to be able to have all these different 5 sort of categories or ways of sort of exploring the California backcountry and front country with some really close friends and really cool people.
My first experiences in the outdoors, other than outings week with the K program, were all on the weekend trips. I just had always been training for other competitive sports in the fall, but this year I'm doing actually fall outdoors for the first time, which I'm really excited about. But the weekend trips were definitely like the highlight of almost every year I've been at Cape. They've been the highlight of my school year. They gave me opportunities to meet people I didn't know at all that were in different grades. When I was a freshman, I got to meet seniors that I might have never spoken to before. I got to learn a lot. You just end up learning a lot about other people's interests on the trails getting there. And they also just provided me times for self-reflection that I didn't always get in the busy kind of Mesa. Last year, I went on a trip to Santa Cruz, and I kind of just signed up. I didn't really reach out to any of my friends to see if they were going, and I first of all met a lot of underclassmen I didn't know, and I got to spend a lot of time up on the bluffs of Santa Cruz, and it has helped me a lot going into this senior year, applying to colleges, because I got to spend a lot of time thinking about what I really cared about, what I wanted to do later in life that I don't know if I would have gotten to do just in my dorm room.
Yeah, and another cool thing about these weekend outdoors trips is that they're very accessible. So sort of the way that they work is that Bonnie would usually stand up in assembly and announce a trip for the weekend, whether it's kayaking at Santa Cruz or like spending a weekend outside at Cruzo National Monument, which is a very popular one, or backpacking near Ojai and Sespe Wilderness, looking for the hot springs. So he'll sort of announce the trip, see what it's about, and literally after assembly, anyone can come up to him and say, hey, I want to be on that trip, or just shoot him an email and you'll be on that list. And that's basically the only requirement that you have to have. It's no experience required. It doesn't go by like priority of seniors to freshmen or anything like that. And that was sort of my original introduction to the outdoors program, because I didn't take outdoors fall option my freshman year. I only took it as a sophomore, junior, and senior. So my freshman year in October, a bunch of freshman girls were going on the Gaviota ocean kayaking camping trip, and I sort of hopped on that, and that was my first time ever like sleeping under the stars, or really camping at all. And from then on, I was just going on as many outdoors experiences as I could. Yeah, and I've met a lot of my closest friends through those trips, and I think a lot about my most memorable experiences at Cape. A lot of times they're off the Mesa, but with these same people, because we're in these pretty cool outdoor spaces.
Yeah, and then on one more note, I was just gonna mention why people might not do it, like if they're afraid, but every level of experience comes into these trips and comes into the outdoors, and everyone is taught through the program, so it shouldn't be a concern. And then for the outdoor trips on the weekends, like missing homework or missing something on the campus, I just found that when I come back, I feel refreshed and ready to start a whole new week of school, and I think I come back with a better mindset.
And new friends.
Yeah.
And I'll let Pete kind of wrap up. It's just that we're, as a program, trying to do a better job of making you as parents aware of what's coming up ahead of time, so that maybe you can nudge your kids into these opportunities. I honestly can't think of a kid who's gone on one of these trips and said, oh, that was a bummer, I wish I didn't do that. It's almost the other way around, and like it's hard sometimes to battle the momentum of the school week And kids like, oh yeah, I love outdoors, you should definitely do it. What are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to the mall. You know, it's just why? Well, that's what everybody's doing. It's just like kicking that out, you know, the option for doing different things. So we're gonna try to do a better job of making you all aware of what's out there, and if that looks like something that you think your child would respond to, we're kind of working together to fold them into the program. And as Daphne said, it's an easy sign up for the kids, but you will be included. You'll have to call permission and the dean's office will know. So you won't all of a sudden hear upon return, oh yeah, we went swimming with great white sharks last weekend, Mom, that's awesome. Right? So you will know what's happening before it happens. And sorry, so we'll just, sorry, question?
No, I was just gonna say, just maybe for parents to know, like, if kids don't have wetsuits, they don't have surfboards, like just answering some of that. They might not have pads,
Yep.
they might not have backpacks.
Yeah, so that plays into the whole experience piece. You don't need to have any experience to participate in these trips, and 9 trips out of 10, we have everything for you. There may be specific trips that it would help to have your own wetsuit. Santa Cruz Island trip is an example where we have wetsuits to facilitate all the experiences out on the island. But if you have your own wetsuit, you might prefer that. So the trip up to Mammoth Mountain is another one. A lot of students will bring their ski boots after Christmas break just to have those, and then they'll rent their skis. So we incorporate a lot of communication to make sure that the student has what they need, and in most cases we have something to cover it. We as adults feel so fortunate to work and live in an institution that believes in the inherent value of spending time in the outdoors. And it's that idea that fuels our motivation to create experiences for these kids that are accessible for all of them. It's that ability that allows us to get a wide range and a diverse student body into each one of these weekend experiences. The trip at the beginning of the year sets them up with the confidence and some of the skills to better and more easily approach some of the weekend trips. And we believe in transparency, and so we explain clearly what the expectations are for the trips. And one of the first questions I get just about every weekend is, do I need to have experience? And the answer is always no, you don't. I rely heavily on the student body that has been participating in these trips year in and year out to help guide those students. It's a group mentality, and as you all know from being a part of Kate School, everyone looks out for each other. The skills that they learn here transcend into the outdoors and vice versa. The things they learn out there about themselves and about their classmates transcend into the dining hall, into the dorms, out on the sports fields. And that's really a big part of this program, is building these kids up, allowing them to access their strengths, learn about their weaknesses, build on those things, and come back and be better citizens on the Mesa, better citizens down in CARP, and ultimately go off to college with a set of skills that I would argue a lot of high school kids don't have the opportunity to explore and to get to know. And so the opportunity for us is as rich as it is for them, and we're just really thankful to have the opportunity. So thanks for your support.
Yeah, we're happy to field any questions as well.
Is fall outdoors instead of volleyball, tennis, or cross country?
It's right. Those two are. It's a afternoon athletic option. So if you're signed up for an interscholastic sport in the fall, you would be able to participate in the athletic program. And we'll try to pick those kids up on the weekend, surfing and stand-up paddleboarding and things like that.
So they can still, if you're doing tennis, they can still do these on the weekend.
Yes,
You can find them.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
one of
what
the-
I've
Yeah.
done when I was the past 3 years.
One of the biggest challenges here at Kate is prioritizing your free time. There's something every weekend that's pretty appealing, and so we try to create another option, but ultimately, as Dennison alluded to, it's a lot of, do I want to do A or do I want to do B? What are my friends doing? Do I want to stretch myself a little bit? How much work do I have? There's a lot of variables that go into it, so we try to facilitate an experience that allows kids, we understand their workload is through the roof, and we try to make it so that they can achieve all their goals and have this experience.
Hi, good morning. Are any of you day students? Do you have any advice that you can give in terms of your own experience of how you got away from the tendency to want to just stay home on the weekend and get out there and join the gang?
Well, I'm a special kind of day
Yes, you are.
I'm right down the hill, so
Oh, okay.
he's my dad. But even that, like, distance at all, definitely was hard to get outside my comfort zone and even just stay by the dorm a little bit longer. And but yeah, I think it's definitely just making that first step, I guess, making it a habit.
And eating the meals here. My daughter would leave the house before 7 to come eat breakfast here every morning, so she wouldn't miss out. And getting up and not sleeping in. And it was hard for me as a day student family to not have my daughter at the meals. But it made a big difference her freshman year getting to meet people.
Yeah, I mean, if your child is, especially a day student, if they're, worried about that, if they're having a hard time kind of balancing that campus home life, I think a weekend trip is a perfect way to make connections and not feel pressure to spend your whole day on campus every weekday. You could just go on maybe one trimester or one at least once in a year, and you've already definitely made really close relationships in that one trip.
What Tessa spoke to, I think, is true for most of the kids come back refreshed. I mean, it's busy, it's fun, it's active, but it's a break. It's a way to kind of get you out of that kind of routine, so you actually are more, more enthusiastic would be the right word, but more ready to kind of jump right back in. And there's a structure there for families that have that structure at home. There's a structure there just to be signed up and you'll be brought along. In some ways, it's easier than why don't you just go up and see if you can find a group that you can attach to and maybe go to meals with. I mean, you'll be shepherded right in there. So just get that first nudge.
I just had a question. Are some of at least the overnight trips published on the calendar? Some of the longer ones, can you plan ahead so you don't plan a short weekend or a long weekend or an SAT or something?
So some of them are and some of them aren't. And I do need to be better about getting them on the calendar, and sometimes it's weather, sometimes things change based on weather and scheduling and things like that. But there are a few big ones that we put on the calendar, ones that we specifically have to book far in advance. Those are the easy ones to put on. The other ones, planning happens closer to the date for things like weather and that kind of stuff. So yeah, so some of them are and some of them aren't is the short answer.
Or maybe not on the big master calendar, but just somewhere on
Well, and
save the date or something.
we could use feedback from you all about what do you access? What is most helpful to you to give you kind of a more long-range view? That we're really interested in how we can make you aware of what's accessible for sure.
Veracross calendar, because that is one of the hardest things for a day student, is things, they have a whole nother world and life to juggle and commitments, and last minute weekend trips, but also club meetings. They schedule a club meeting at 3 in the afternoon for that evening. The day student already is off campus or has plans, so if everything is on the calendar, then especially day students can make a point to not miss out.
And so that Veracross calendar, that's a resource that you guys use pretty regularly? Great.
Can you talk about the end of year outdoors, the week-long trip that you take at the end of the year in May?
Oh, sure. So that's kind of a specialized trip as part of the academic program. I run a trip, and Pete joined us last year, and a number of the kids are actually in, 3 of them, signed up for a course. It's actually an academic, interdisciplinary combination of the outdoor program, and we finish with a week-long trip, wilderness trip in Utah on a desert river. for that. So that's, and that's actually a nice segue for one of the goals that the two of us in particular have, is to find ways to incorporate the outdoor program into our traditional curriculum to enhance learning. So it's not seen as extracurricular, it's really seen as kind of co-curricular support, as a way to enhance our academic experiences with more field work, more opportunities to get the kids connecting what they're learning in the classroom to actually the real world. So thank you for that question. American Wilderness, have your kids sign up for it.
And this year I just showed up late. I had a class. It's Leadership Through the Outdoors. It's our new section in the sophomore seminar human development program, where we're teaching the leadership curriculum that will ultimately guide these kids into leadership roles on the Mesa and beyond, where we're teaching it through an outdoor lens. So I'm taking all our leadership curriculum and I'm teaching the students through a lot of the stuff that we implement on weekend trips and on the outings week trips and stuff like that. So we're continuously building it into the curriculum as much as possible.
That's incredible.
Well, thank you for
Thank you.
allowing us to explain what we're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think now let's start with our CPO manager update. So, homecoming? Yep. Yep. Yeah, because it's being live streamed and recorded.
Alright. I'm Kim Blankenbrand Jr., Grace, and Emily Jones and I are joining homecoming this year. It's going to be September 22nd, which is quick this year. Last year was October. So we're making it happen quickly here. So CPO helps out with homecoming, but the school really likes the student activities committee and the students to kind of own the event and do a lot of planning in it as well. So what the students are doing is making announcements at assembly, encouraging people to find dates or just go with their friends. It'll be attire that's sort of like what you might wear to a formal dinner, so that's not super fancy that everyone needs to invest in clothing and more than they have brought here as boarders. The students will also do the invitation. They're helping set the theme. They're going to pick the food. They're going to help set up. So they're doing a lot of that. What CPO will do is we're helping with the table setups, the arrangements, the timing, making sure everything comes together. We'll provide the desserts, the cakes. The students will also plan their own dance with the DJ and everything after the dinner. So we're really just kind of involved with the dinner. So, gosh, I have a sign-up sheet I'm going to pass around on my little clipboard. We would love some volunteers to help Emily and I with making the flower arrangements in vases on Saturday morning, the day of the event, September 22nd. We'll also set up all the tables, put the tablecloths on. We have a little bit more decor to set up the bars. There's a few other things. The time is from 11 to 3. We'll be looking for some volunteers. And the theme is Bleed Blue. It's going to be a lot of blue. So, I believe there's a volleyball game and a football game that day as well. And it's an S weekend. It's going to be super busy around here. So it'll be fun to have a lot of parents helping us and watching the football game while they're putting together tables. And, yeah, so thank you, everyone.
Hi, my name is Heather So. I'm the chair of Parents Representative Committee. And then I'd like to briefly tell you about our committee and our first project of the year, the goodie bag. So Parents Representative Committee has to plan a total of 4 goodie bags throughout the year and end of year class party. By the way, class representative are parents who volunteer their time and organize and plan goodie bag. It is a way to give our kids something to enjoy. And it can be a lot of different things, from a bag of sweets, chocolates, and candies, and something really creative. For example, last year, the scalp massager with the tongue, it was a big hit, with the homemade treat, like the sweet treats for juniors class as a stress relief. And actually, any of homemade treats is always a big hit for the kids. But really you have to make sure that you guys have to avoid the nuts with the homemade treats. I just spoke to Patty before the meeting, who's nice enough to accept to lead the junior class for this outdoor outings week weekend goodie bags, but for juniors first. So just make sure, try to avoid the nuts because we have a lot of kids with nut allergies in the campus. And we do need a lot of help, and if we have more parents helping us out, the better it is easy. And it is actually a lot of fun, and it is also a good way to become well-known and popular with students, and after they get goodie bags, they will come up and say thank you to you. So, lastly, we still need, I don't know how many freshman group parents are here, but we still need list for the freshman group for our first goodie bag this year. And this is when our kids come back from outings week, which is next Sunday. And I know many of you who are new to our Cape community, but just don't be afraid to join us. And it is a great way to show our kids that they feel loved and cared. And thank you so much to those that are already in our committee, especially to the freshmen group. If you have any questions, you can see me, talk to me after the meeting, or Tracy. And let's do this for our kids. Go Cape!
So one thing I was just gonna add, and then Danielle's gonna go. Being a class rep or even just volunteering with them, it's a fun way to meet other parents too, because when they're doing the assemblies or the bags and stuff like that, if you're local in the area, it's kind of a fun way. You're all getting together, the camaraderie of the parents in that, and you're delivering the bags throughout the campus and that. So it's a fun way just to meet other parents. Okay, Danielle's up.
Hi, my name is Danielle Puerta, and this year Grace Davidson and I are chairing the Faculty Appreciation Committee. Last year, the highlight of our events was definitely the great cookie giveaway, where we gave away more than 1,200 cookies. That event got pushed into February because of the challenges we had last year, but we're going to move it back to right before winter breaks this year. So our 3 events for the year will be a Halloween lunch, where we decorate this room for the holiday and serve lunch to the faculty and staff, the great cookie giveaway in December, and then a Cinco de Mayo lunch in May. So we'd appreciate help from local families as well as people from all over the world. Grace and my email addresses are on the Cape CPO Who's Who page, so if you would like suggestions for donating from afar, please email us. And I'll pass around a clipboard which has 3 pages of opportunities for upcoming events.
Okay, and so the last thing when it comes to CPO volunteer opportunities, the one thing we still need is sports boosters. They kind of help provide snacks and treats after the home games and that for the students. We've got the fall covered. I'm just looking for someone who will help just kind of coordinate in the spring and the winter and the spring, finding just kind of team parents. And Wade gives us kind of the roster, and you can kind of go through and find it. But if you're any interested in kind of helping out, just kind of the sports teams in the winter and the spring, just let me know. And then I think I've heard that the volleyball games have been canceled this afternoon. So on campus later this afternoon is girls varsity tennis. The Cape sports teams are already well into their seasons. Water polo was yesterday. Volleyball and tennis have already played. Football's first home game is tomorrow. And then I think the next CPO meeting is Thursday, October 4th. And that's it for today, unless you all have any questions.
I'm just a little confused about the weekend trips. Sounds like there are some athletic games on Saturdays.
There are some.
So there will be trips during game days also, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Good job, Tracy.
Thank you.